Northern Ireland Alternative Timeline, a Smithco fiction podcast. Season 1, Episode 6, The Speech. Hello. This is a message for all of you out there. It's a message, I guess you could say, for everyone who is sick, who is tired of all those things that there are in the world. All those politics, all those foolish things. Because when we look at the politicians, when we look at the governments who are in control of this country, who are in control of the people in control of this country, what do we see? We see terribleness. I don't know why you're cheering for that. It's very strange, but I will continue. So, why exactly do we put up with this? Why exactly do we look on and simply accept it? Why exactly do we think, okay, that's fine? Because this makes no sense. Why should we say that's fine? This is not fine. This is something which needs to be stood up. This is nothing that needs people to attack it. This is something where we need to change it. This is not a situation in which we stand back and say, okay, I'll take this. This is a situation where I say to you, you can vote for all these parties. You can vote for the other parties. That is your democratic will. But do not be tricked into your voting. Do not be changed when you're voting. Do not be convinced of things because of other people. You must have voting based on facts, not lies. So, when you vote for these parties, when you look at these parties, when you go for your election, when you go to the polling stations, when you look at these things, don't think about the simple policies. Don't think about what the little things these parties stand for. Think of what the parties stand for as a whole. Don't vote on a single policy, because that is not what we want. We want a free democracy, a democracy where you can truly express who you want to vote for, and you can base that off true, factual information. And of course you might say, is this an attack on the press? No, it's not. It's an attack on the lies. It's an attack on the fake area of the press. People call the press fake, but here's the thing. If you look down on it, can you really say someone is fake and another person is not? Well, the fact is, you need to have an independent person to say that. You can't just say this. If I said a particular form of press was completely fake because they didn't like me, well, would I be a proper politician there? Oh yes, I would. But would I be a proper person? Oh no, I would not. So this is why I stand before you, and this is why you should vote for our party, because we will not simply stand by and watch freedom of people go away. If the people want something, surely they should be given it. They should not be controlled by the politicians. They vote for them. So why exactly should they be pushed around? The individual is the one who votes. So why should the individual be pushed and pushed and pushed? And why should groups be pushed and pushed and pushed? Just because the politicians are racist, just because the politicians are homophobic, just because the politicians are sexist, just because the politicians have a particular view, does that mean we have to have that particular view? No, it does not. It does not indeed. A politician should not simply put their own views. A politician should represent the people, not themselves. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. I hope you all will vote, and vote properly. Don't be influenced by them. Be influenced by yourself. Thank you, and goodbye. Well, how did I do? Well, I think you did well enough. I think we'll get voted in. Well, no. I mean, your speech was, how would I put this? If it was inspiring, I would say yes, but I don't really think personally, no matter how inspiring you can make a speech, that people will truly be inspired. Well, that's a bit glum, isn't it? I know it may sound glum, but you see, you can call me a pessimist, but others would call me a realist. Oh, well, yeah, I know. I mean, that's sort of the reason for the speech. I mean, you wrote the speech, right? Well, yeah, I did, yeah. So, isn't that sort of the point of the speech? Is that what you think? Oh, yeah, I mean, I wrote it for that. Like, I mean, I intended it to be seen as, like, inspiring but informative, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so, well. So you think we'll win? Well, I mean, polling is begin soon. I think it's good that we announced ourselves, but we announced ourselves in a way where we released a manifesto. So I think we should definitely be aware that, we might want to be sort of aware of some possible attacks, I guess you could say. Well, I mean, why would we be attacked? Well, I mean, if we get too big. Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, why exactly would we be attacked? Because we're seen as a small party, and I just have a fear, though, that we may have inspired people to vote against us. To vote for the other parties and agree with us. Yeah, well, I mean, well, I may have placed an ad. An ad? Yeah, an ad on the radio. Actually, it's around. It's going at. It's coming up to the. I think it hits at the around the hour mark. So we have around maybe 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. Well, why don't you pop it on? Oh, really? Oh, okay. So, I just pop on here. You've seen a recent rise in the parties in the country. So, what do you think? About these new parties. I think one of the main ones that I have here is the Peace Party of Northern Ireland. They are basically they're having a bit of more speeches. They're actually they're having more speeches. They're holding more events. They're really having a big push this year, aren't they? Well, yeah, I mean, they are. I don't know why, really, because, I mean, they have no chance if you look at the polls. The polls really suggest, like, I'm not saying they're losing, I'm saying they're not getting any votes, if you know what I mean. That they're getting no votes at all. And that's the thing. Yeah, but when you look at it, don't you find that the polls are actually off? Because the polls were set before they began this campaign. So what you're using now is what people might call, I don't know how it phrases, but you're putting it as, essentially, you're using the polls to say to people, oh, they're not going to win, so don't vote for them. You know what I mean? You're using that. Have you listened to the speeches? Yeah, I have. Well, I can bloody tell that, because I am looking at you, and I can tell you are very clearly, I mean, have you become one of theirs? Because it seems like this is a very sided conversation. You're asking me if I'm using the polls to use that. That's exactly what they said that we were doing. Well, are you? That's beside the question. That means nothing. That's got nothing to do with it. I think it does, though, because it really does, though, because if you are using the polls to do that, then surely aren't you sort of, well, problematic? We're not a parliament. We'll be continuing this conversation after the break. After these. The politicians demonize the press. The press demonize the politicians. This is how it works. Now, sometimes the politicians refer to the press when the press slip up and make mistakes. And then the press publicize when the politicians make mistakes or try to cover things up. Is this the way it should be? Well, even if it is, this is not the way it is. In this world, the politicians demonize the opposition. The politicians demonize the free press. But the politicians do not demonize those who agree with them. The press demonize parts of politics. However, they do not demonize all of them. So remember, when you're voting this time, don't simply vote for politicians you think are good. Vote for politicians that are good. Right, well, I'm confused. How exactly is that an ad for us? Well, basically, I didn't really want to run a political ad because, those are generally shite, if you know what I mean. They're not really very convincing. Basically what I'm saying is they're not exactly the kind of ads you really want. They're the kind of ads that bring in some people, but they don't really bring in people who actually are, not really supportive of you. What I'm saying is political ads like that, actual political ads, they essentially, they just bring in voters who would vote for you kind of anyway. What I'm saying is you're just presenting yourself in the media that they are then taking, if they were kind of people who like to see politicians they liked on billboards, then you would have got them by putting yourself on a billboard. You know what I mean? Right, well, I guess, let's see the polls. Yeah, I guess so. Thank you for listening to this, episode 6 of Smithco's Fiction Podcast. It's like an alternative timeline. So if you liked it, you can write in the comments or just view it, share it, that sort of thing. Basically, if there's a small amount of views, but comments that say it should come back for a second series, or season, depending on where you're watching this from, then we'll come back with a second series. Or if it's not a lot of comments but a lot of views, then we'd also come back for the second series, unless there's a lot of dislikes, in which case then maybe not, because that would indicate you watched it but didn't like it. So that's the sort of situation. So thank you for watching. If you want to watch other content on the YouTube channel, you can just click on the YouTube channel thing and then just go about the place watching things, or you could subscribe or things like that. You can do that, yeah. So we'll see you next time.